with this band. I feel very lucky to have the right lineup, to have the right label, and that we choose the right studio. So everything was pretty much perfect. I feel very lucky with this release, actually.
Hey guys, welcome to Headbangers Australia. I've got an awesome guest joining me today. I've got Giorgio from a band called Behind Starvation. They're a melodic death metal band, but there's a twist. They use modern metalcore music in their music, so there's a good mix there. So I'm really keen to talk to Giorgio. And they've got a new album or new EP coming up, the Grief Sower. So let's talk to Giorgio. Hey Giorgio, what's up, man? How you been?
Hey there. How are you? I'm great. Just enjoying this release and hearing good things, and I'm super happy. Looking forward to some shows, some live shows. But yeah, I'm great.
Awesome. Because I was actually gonna ask you how's the feedback been with your EP. So you said that you got some good feedback. Yeah. So how about the other guys of the band? Are they, they're very happy with the feedback as well? Is there anything that stand out in, with your reviews or any feedback that really highlights?
Let's say that about the feedback, the first thing that you think about when you're talking about an EP or an album is which song is the most loved from the people. So we were trying to understand which was the best song, like in the EP. Some of us were saying about Grief Sower because it's a in your face song with a strong riff, with strong melodies. But then it came out that many people told me that the best song and the favorite song was Collapsing Monument, which is also my personal favorite song of the EP. So that's great because people, as we talked before, like the melodic death metal part of the EP. So the part which is more into the Gothenburg sound from Sweden. But they also noticed that we have this modern taste and this metalcore things added in some of the songs. So this is great because people told us that we have a personality, which I think is the most important thing when you create music, because copy something that is well known. It's not easy because it's always something that you create, but it's important to create something personal. So the best comment we received was that we have personality, so that people hear the personality in the piece. So yeah.
Oh, cool, awesome, man, awesome. It's because the first time I've heard your band, I had an email from the PR, and they had Grief Sower, and I played it, and as you said, it was right. I found it was in your face, was melodic death metal, was that old school Gannonburg sound that I actually loved when I was listening to the earlier Dark Trinity, In Flames, even At the Gates, all the albums when Fredrik Nordstrom was doing the production in that era. And I'm like, fuck, this is good. This is the good sound. It's good to have that sound crate back because it's so influential, that era of the melodic death metal, how it happened, with that era, and seeing bands trying to recreate that era. Because we also got bands in Australia that have tried, are also recreating that era of the Gannonburg sound as well. But when I looked into your album or your EP, so excuse me, I always call it, I call EP albums, EP's a short album,
Don't worry.
When when I dived deeper, the first two tracks, they're like, yep, this is melodic death metal. And I'm like, cool. And because Grief Sower was one of my favorite tracks, I actually liked it. But when it came to Collapsing Monuments, I'm like, hang on, something's a bit different here. And this is when I started to hear the melodic singing and the melodic hooks coming into that song. And I'm like, I feel like there's a bit of metalcore in it. There's a bit of modern metal mixed in. And it's not like I'm a big In Flames fan, and I love all the eras of In Flames, and I'm like, the modern In Flames are not, they've kind of gone a new direction where they haven't really gone back to that Gatterberg earlier side, so they've gone in a new direction. So your music was very, let's stay in that era, but let's try and see if we can add some modern metalcore elements to our music. And I thought that these guys really executed really well. And those of you that probably love your rock songs, your pop songs that you don't tour any headbangers because you don't want to be, you're too scared that they'll be like, oh, secretly I really love the song In the Shadows, which is the band called the Rasmus. I really love that song when, 20 years ago when I had my day job and you're hearing all the boring music that's playing on the radio, but when they played In the Shadows, it's like, oh yeah, cool. And I always said to myself, it'd be awesome if I can made a metal cover out of it, because it's got some hooks, it's got some elements that you can make it metal. And you guys have done a version of In the Shadows. And as soon as I heard it, I'm like, oh yeah, I can hear, you still had your own creativity, but when you hear the fundamentals of the original song, these guys didn't go way off. You still kept it in the structure of that song. The most important bits of what this, you didn't lose the original structure, so it did sound like, it sounded like In the Shadows, but a heavier version. And it was a really great album. And how do you feel Behind Starvation fits into that wave of the new melodic bands that are coming into the scene in Europe?
Yeah, I'm glad to hear this from you. Writing that cover was kind of cool, and it was faster than what I was expecting, because when I started listening to the song more and more times to get it, to understand the melodies and everything, then I start like with a simple riff, and then I say, well, this is super easy. So it was super fast writing that song for me. That was like, hey, it's like a completely new song, but if you know the Rasmus song, you can hear it because the melodies are keeping the song. So this is the most important thing, because what we are saying is that we turned a rock pop music song, into a Gothenburg sound, melodic death metal song, which is pretty funny, but also it's kind of cool, because I'm very critical with myself, I must say that. So it's not always easy to me to say, yeah, this is cool. Mostly of the times it's pretty hard with the things I do. But when I heard the song, I was like, hey man, this is a kick-ass song, right? So yeah, that was cool, was fine, and I'm pretty curious to see how it will be, how will be the response during our future live shows. But yeah, it was fun.
I reckon it's gonna go really well. Because that guys, we've added that track to the Headbangers Australia Spotify playlist. In the Shadows, that their version, it's in there. So go hear it, go suss it out, because there's Chucks there. As Giorgio was saying, it's got the Gothenburg sound. It's got that era there. It's just like they just twisted it, and it worked really well. And it's very hard for pop songs to get turned into metal. Some have done well, some have done, it's a bit of a miss. Like, Children of Bottom, Britney Spears pop version, Hit Me Baby One More Time. I think that, no, I was wrong. I think it's Oops, I Did It Again. I think they've done that.
Oops, I Did It Again. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not. Yeah, like, and there's a band in Australia that did Kylie Minogue. They did a version of Kylie Minogue. I'm not sure if you heard of Kylie Minogue. She's one of the Australian pop singers, and she's gained herself internationally. There was a band in Australia that did her cover songs, and worked really well. But I think that you guys don't want to be known as, oh, let's make pop songs, turn them into metal, because basically, if you didn't have that song in the Shadows, your other tracks stand out, and that was more like that's on the last track. So so I think that you're going to get a good response with that song, with that cover. But I think that you guys have written the ingredients, and you guys have got the foundation to do stuff on your own. So I don't think that you've always got to, we have to. I think that you've done that more for fun, just to give you guys what you can do, creativity. So yeah, man. Yeah, you're gonna get a good response to that song, man. I can feel it, because I actually enjoyed it, man. So don't stress, brother. I want to go into more of the beginning of the band, the origin of the band, because based on the research that I've done, we just there's a website called the Metal Encyclopedia, and they've got every band that you can think of. And I found your band, but they so much very vague on the information. So you want to tell the Australian audience and our audience overseas about the origin of Behind Starvation, how you guys started, and what made you guys decided to call yourself Behind Starvation.
Sure. I think I started the band back in, I think it was 2022 or 2023. I'm not sure, but yeah, it was more or less 4 years ago. And I started that band with a bass player, which is not Andrea, our best player. Uh, and I started just writing a few songs. The first song I ever written was Negation Shape and Grief Sower. Then we add Steve, which is our drummer. We keep it in the new lineup. But after a few rehearsals, we find out that didn't have the right time, the time to go further with the band. So in 2023 there was let's say a split. We didn't talk about that. I tried to understand if it was possible to return back to what we did and to bring it to a new life, but it was impossible. Then I just waited. I just waited. It was 2024. I do remember I was driving from Lecco to Crema, and I was thinking about, hey, let's hear the Grief Sower because I had the demo track on my phone, and I put it in the car. And when I was listening, well, I was like, hey man, this is cool. This is actually cool. As I told you before, I'm very critical with the stuff I do. So I was like, hey, if I'm saying to myself that this is cool, I think that this is. So after that, I instantly called the bass player and the drummer, but the bass player was not available anymore. So it was like, hey, I do not have time. And the drummer said, hey, if we are alone in the band, this couldn't work. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna find a new musician. And for the first time in my life, really, I'm playing guitar since I was, I don't know, maybe 16 or 15, but I never find four or five member of the band when I was searching. But this time it happened to be different. So I find a bass player, a new bass player, and then I find the singer, and then the singer find the second guitar player. So the lineup was built in 2024. We had the full lineup, so the actual lineup, and we start talking about the songs. We I shared with them the songs I did, and then I shared with them all the ideas of mine because I'm the composer for the band, and then we rearrange the song all together. So yeah, after a few listens from them, seemed like everything was fine. So I started, creating new songs like Collapsing Monument, which was just an idea, and I finished it. I think in the late 2024. Then I create the lines and the riffs for the Rasmus
Yeah.
cover, and then it was everything was ready. We used WhatsApp and everything to share the files because we're not pretty close. Like the bass player is 1 hour and a half from my place. The drummer is 2 hours. So the cool thing is that we didn't made many rehearsals. We did like 7 or 8 rehearsals before to go to the studio and record the EP. Uh, but that's it. In 2025, we recorded the EP, and in March 2025, it was ready. And then we contacted just one label. We just contacted Inertial Music, our
Yep.
label, because I saw them that were working as I like. So I sent the demo. They were like, "Hey, fuck yes, this can
That's
work.
awesome.
Let's do a contract." And I was like, "Hey, first shot, first target." So
Yeah.
it was kind of cool, and it was really a happy moment of my life because I always tried back in the days to form to build a band and to get the label and everything. So this was the first time for me, and I'm super happy because we have a good label. We have,
Yeah.
I think, a good product. I really like the hippie. I really like how the studio worked. So yeah. Then the EP, as you know, was released 3 weeks ago, on September, and that's it. Now we are here talking, hoping for the future. I'm now actually working on new material. I really hope to have new material ready for the late 2026, but we will see. I'm surely working on it.
I was going to ask you that question at the end of the interview, but you mentioned it. You mentioned it already. Yeah, the label that you signed. I started. One thing I love about European metal, there's so many labels out there. So like, there's quite more than in Australia. But there's so many good labels in Europe, and you are signed to a good label. I've started to hear some other artists that have come through that label. So it was really good that you tried it for the first time and they responded, man. So if you're happy with the efforts I've done, man, they look after you, man. My advice is, yeah, keep them, because they labels, if they treat these guys, if they treat, like in every business, they treat these guys like family, like, look after you. It's a bit of loyalty there. And sometimes loyalty is hard to find in today's world. So I'm very happy that you got that through the label for your first go. And I think time was working in your side when you just basically said how you started the band. You managed to find all the right decisions. And I remember
Yeah.
up, yeah, I was looking for a band. Something took me a long time, so I eventually joined the band, and the band was 2.5 hours away from Sydney. So every 2 weeks I had to travel two and a half hours. But I think that what's a good thing about your chemistry with your bandmates is that you all live further distance, but you guys have the dedication to make something happen. People can easily make excuses to go, oh, look, man, I'm gonna feel well. Like, it sounds like the communication, the fundamental, and the passion. So, and it reflects on the music, what you hear in the recording. The recording, what you guys perform. So yeah, thanks for telling us the story of Behind Starvation.
Yeah, I'm super happy of that, really. I don't know how's the situation there in Australia, but here in Italy, there are not many people listening to metal music. It's still very, very underground. Uh, usually the same people is playing in many bands, and but here in my place, I think I never met a real metalhead who was ready to play my type of music. We are really just a few people, and so it was great to have everything with this band. I feel very lucky to have the right lineup, to have the right label, and to the that we choose the right studio. So everything was pretty much perfect. I feel very lucky with this release, actually.
Yeah, to answer your question, in Australia, it's very underground as well in the metal scene. It's pretty much underground all over the world. When you talk about the mainstream metal, it's still underground to the mainstream population. So back in Australia, the lifestyle is, we've got social media these days, and we've got like meetups. There's a meetup coming in a couple of days in Sydney where we get together every 6 months. So anyone that loves metal, they basically go to the bar in Sydney, have some drinks, and people have gone there for years. And there's a community there that the person that organises, his name is Dave Balfour. He's a promoter as well in Sydney as well. So he organises these events, and he basically has created like a tradition. Every 6 months, people go to the bar, have a beer, talk about metal, play music. It's a good way to bond. So I'm sure that back in Italy, there's probably other parts in the region, because Australia, I'm not sure if Australia is a big country. It takes from Sydney, which is on the east coast of Australia, and you got Perth. It's a 3 hour flight.
Mm. Yeah,
And
yeah, I know that.
3 hours you can go to 2 or 3 countries. So it's a very different landscape there, but basically with the metalheads, like as you said, there's not many metal where you're basing your region in Italy, but the internet's a small place and stuff like that. I We'll probably go back into the album because it's what's one good thing about organic interviews, you just don't know where it goes. Um, I, your vocalist in the band, Alexandro,
Mhm.
Dirosso. He's the vocalist of the band, and you're the composer of the band. So when you guys do your lyrics, do you have a concept that you pass to Alexandra, or do you let Alexandra have the free reign to basically create something?
So we talked about the lyrics because I had an idea. Obviously, we were not going to talk about rainbows and about gummy bears, So the purpose was about to talk about um, uh, yeah, grief, also to talk about things that are not correct in this life, sadness, but with not just sadness as it is, but as a, a way we have to change our life. So trying to do it better, and this is what Grief Sower is talking about the lyrics. We divided the work on the lyrics because Alessandro did two lyrics, which are the Despite Existence one and the Collapse Monument one. Then the drummer wrote Negation Shape one, and I wrote the lyrics for the Grief Sower. But yeah, every lyric got a connection because we're more or less talking in every lyrics about life and maybe some different aspect, but we're always talking about life and aspect that needs to change. So yeah, it was pretty much easy, I must say, not to write the lyrics, but to understand which was the target.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome to hear. As so what we basically you got your band in a good timing, you got the right label, you've got the right lyrically, got the right music. The most important part is artwork. So when we look at your current artwork for from the Grief Sorrow, the artwork looks really stand out. But Because you're very dived into your music and you're very dived into the lyrics, you and Alexandra, can you tell us how the artwork ties into your music?
Well, so the artwork of the EP is the artwork of the reimagination into art of the music and the lyrics of the Grief Sower. So I don't know if you saw the our official the Grief Sower video, but it's more or less talking about that video. So there is this Grief Sower, which is a father who lost his son to suicide. So his role in the story and in the lyrics is to take the ashes from the people who committed suicide and to put them in the ground, waiting and giving them new life. So the ashes will turn, in the story obviously, the ashes will turn into a plant or a tree. And so this means that there's a new life after the pain we are suffering every day, which is, there's a dark aspect, obviously, it's a darker theme, but there's a light. So it's a sort of sadness which we could turn into something better. And the artwork is talking about this. So there's this grief sower looking in front of him, and the place he is looking at is the place where he grown his trees. So where he put the ashes in the ground and wait for the trees to come. So this is what the artwork tells, what the artwork must tell.
Oh, awesome, awesome. I did see the film clip, I think, when I got the press release. I can only remember it vaguely, but I'll go watch it again and we'll add it into the video. So we'll probably put a calling card if I manage to get the editing right. So we'll put it in the video description. So go suss out the video as Giorgio said. It ties into that concept of the cover. So that kind of gives you guys what the artist direction that Giorgio and Behind Starvation is looking for. I guess I want to go more into the more nerdy side of the music. That's like the gear and the talking, because your sound of the album, you mix with metalcore, you mix with melodic death metal. So what kind of gears did you use as a guitarist and your other guitarist to create that sound? Do you guys have like a standard go-to gear that you capture that kind of sound that you personally like?
Yeah, this is always a good question. So I personally use two guitars. One is a Luther one, which is a MRK guitar, 24, like a RR24. So only one pickup, only the bridge pickup, Floyd Rose, and one pot for the volume, and that's it. Then I use a Jackson made in Japan RR24, and this is my gear as guitar. For the amp, we used an AVH 5150 free with a 6L6 tubes valves, and then we had a BB preamp and an 808 as tube screamer, as boost. That was our how I build my sound for my guitar track. For the other guitar player, the setup for the amp and for the pedals was pretty much the same. But for the guitar, he used seven strings. I'm more into six strings. I'm a
Yeah,
six strings guitar guy, and he
yeah,
is more into seven strings. But he used one of my guitar, actually. It was a Jackson seven strings multi-scale, made in Korea, pretty cool with Fishman influence. So the sound was very, had a great impact from the music. So this is how we built, and this is our gear. For I'm sorry for the noise. I don't know if you're hearing it. There's people doing works. close to my place.
Oh,
Well,
well, all good, all good.
yeah,
All good. We can hear
just
you. We can hear you well. We can hear you. We can
okay,
hear you
great,
nice and
great.
well. We can hear you nice and
Great.
well.
So yeah, now I'm thinking about what's next because as guitar player, I always love to buy things, to change things. So I'm surely I will keep my Jackson RR24, but I'm looking for a Jackson Warrior because I
Yep.
think it will be really cool to play on stage. I like large bodies like this one, but I'm not going to use this one, which is an Ibanez Aceman,
Yep.
7 strings.
Yep.
But yeah, since it's 7 strings, I don't like to play it live.
No.
But yeah, I'm always trying to understand what's next. you know.
I've got a tricky question for you. It's going to be a
Hmm.
very tricky question. I'm a bass player. I'm a bassist.
Hmm.
I've been playing in bands for a while. So my question is, do you know what your bass player, what's his tone and his gear is? Do you know your bass's tone and gear?
Well, I think that bass player used an Ibanez
Yeah.
BTB, if I'm not wrong, and he
Yeah.
used a Douglas preamp, which is pretty fucking cool. Don't know the right name of the serial number or whatever
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the his preamp, but yeah, he used a Douglas preamp with a BTB, and also I think he used a fretless bass on one of the track, but I do not remember if it was a Warwick or something else.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, that's awesome setup, man. Because you can't go wrong with dark glass. Dark glass.
Yeah.
I think there's a preamp one for a plug-in, the BK version. Unless I haven't played it for a while. But no, I'm a dark glass man myself. So mate, your bass is good choice. Good choice in gear.
Yeah, he's always he's always telling me, yeah, Dark Class is the best, like best preamp, best pedal ever. so so yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, yeah, but I'm a guitarist. I don't really care what the bass does.
Exactly. But
uh,
it's always nice to see passion for instruments and for gear, even
yeah.
if you don't play them.
I remember once I had my Darkleys up. I was like we were rehearsing with the band, and they're like, "Oh man, I can hear distortion on the bass." I used to play like bass with clean. I'm like, "No, you can hear me now, so you can bring your guitar amps down." Mate,
Yeah.
before we wrap it up, I've noticed that you're very influenced with your metal. You've got Up the Gates frame at the background. I think there's a Racken pass or a Racken ticket. So
Yeah,
Racken over
there's
there.
member.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, got a lot of things here. Many vinyls. Like there are entombed vinyl. Like there's a leak, dismember, first press at the gates, dark tranquility, the gallery, first press, Gorgats. Consider that. Yeah, my favorite.
mate. What are you listening? What are you listening to now? That's probably like influenced you now. Like, because you said you got some new material going in. So, what's been your main influence? Probably
Well,
from the from
as you
summer.
know, if as you know, influences comes even if you don't want them. But I'm pretty sure that my most that the bands that influences me more were At the Gates, surely, were Dark Tranquility for sure, and also when I was 16, around 16, I used to listen a lot of metalcore. So I think that bands like SLA Dying or Miss May gave me something. So this is the mix I did, and this is how I now play guitar. So I always need that kind of melodic death metal riff style. There are trickly, there's a jump of strings that is something that I really like, and there's always this tremolo thing as melody. So yeah, these are the bands that influences me more. And nowadays, these are still the band that I mostly like. Yeah, I'm more into the Swedish part, the Swedish territory. So at the gates, one of my favorite. I think that yeah, I'm also wearing I guess one of my favorite band. Dark Tranquility is probably my favorite band, but also the more brutal part of Sweden. So Dismember, Entombed, Grave, Unleashed. I really love their music, and that's why I think I'm lucky that I live here in Europe. So it's not too hard to take a plane and go to Sweden. We just need the money for the ticket, but yeah, that's it.
I envy you guys in Europe, man. You know, for we have to wait until like the European bands come to Australia, and then you know we're blessed to have a lot of underground bands in Australia. So you know we can always go to our bar and watch them play. Before we wrap it up, man, those of you are those are the people that basically are watching this from Europe and they want to see you guys play. Have you guys got any gigs coming? You guys got any shows coming?
So we're now waiting for some confirmation, as unfortunately the live shows here are not working. Let's say like that. It's very difficult to play live. You need to be friends of the friends. So if you're not part of this, let's say, group of people, you're like the outsider, and it's very difficult to find dates. But luckily, our label find a date for us, probably next year. They are still talking with the guy, but we will probably play in Austria, but
Yeah.
there's not a confirmation yet. And we're talking with for a few dates here in Italy, in two in Milan's, and one in Bergamo, I think. Um, so yeah, but no confirmation yet. This is quite sad, and it's also why I'm now trying to contact people in Germany to understand if there are places there, to understand if someone would be interested. Because what I think is that if you play, you will play more. But if you don't play, well, it's difficult to play. So we just need a few shows and to access, because we will love really to play live, to people to hear the songs, to try out the songs live, to see people response and everything. But well, I'm pretty sure we will have our first date soon. It's just a matter of time. But to answer your question again, unfortunately, no dates confirmed yet.
You'll get those dates soon. Don't worry, brother. Don't worry, brother. You know, it's all about from experience. When I was in the band looking for gigs, it's just hassle, hassle, hassle. That's just a hassle and persistence. You
Yeah.
know, and if you continue to do that, you'll be getting the shows, man. And plus, you're on a Handbangs Australia. So if anyone in Europe are watching this or see our social posts from Behind the Starvation, book them a show. Give them a show because the recording is good, and Giorgio and the boys are very keen to play it live. And mate, Giorgio, we'll wrap it up because I know you've got to go shortly. Mate, it's great to have you on Headbangers Australia. Mate, keep us in touch. What's happening with the band? You know, we're happy to share, promote you guys, share the posts, whatever to help get your profile going there from the Australian audience, and then anyone that follows us from Europe, you know, to get your name just there and there. So, mate, great chat to you, man, and keep doing what you're doing, man. It's really working.
Thank you a lot, man. Thanks for the interview. Thanks for the interest and the nice words you said. I hope we will stay in contact. And well, if you guys are listening to our music and you like it, please give us a feedback. We love to receive feedbacks and to hear which is the best song, which is you know the song you like more, and everything. So yeah, thanks again, Dan. It was a great interview. It was a great pleasure for me to be here with you.
No worries, mate. We'll talk real soon. And before we wrap it up, guys, we've added some tracks of Behind Starvation on our Spotify official playlist. So go suss it out, man. And if you like it, send Giorgio a message. All right, guys. We'll see you guys in the next video.